Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new Nvidia daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Nvidia stock. Let's go over what the hell happened in the market today and one of the craziest market days I have ever seen personally. So yeah, I'll go over my thoughts, what I believe can happen next, etc. So if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, but if you do enjoy my technical analysis, whatever, you find it useful, helpful, or whatever, and you want it every single day as the market is trading, not just at the end of the day, well, I have a membership section on YouTube. Link is below in the description of the video, where I share my thoughts, post updates for just $3 a month, mainly on Tesla stocks, sometimes other stocks as well when I see opportunities. Or for $5 a month, you get access to my second tier, which is again just $5 a month, which includes Nvidia as well on top of the first tier. Right, today I've been sharing a lot of posts today. Obviously, like all of these were just today because yeah, it was a pretty wild day. Today was like a day trading day, honestly. But yeah, so let's go over it. Nvidia closing the day up actually 3.6%, which is pretty nice to see for once, especially in a market like this, closing at 97.71 per share, up a little bit more after hours. So again, we're in a kangaroo market. This is a very wild market. It's a very spooky market. It's a very crazy market, but it's a very aggressive market to say the least. Now, what does this actually mean moving forward for Nvidia? Well, there's a few things that actually happened for Nvidia that's actually pretty good. Now, I did slightly readjust this downward channel. Before I had it, I think I had it, I can't remember how I had it, but it was slightly curved upwards. Anyways, semantics. The point I'm trying to make is the fact that this slightly adjusted. I do think this actually fits the picture a little bit cleaner, and it's still valid. It doesn't break any rules whatsoever, and it kind of follows this, these bounce spots a little on the more cleaner side, at least in my opinion, right? While these top ones are still similar as well. The reason I did this is because it continues to show that today's and arguably Friday's price action is still valid, if that makes sense. So what do I mean by that? Well, we're still inside this channel, right? The point is we're still inside this channel. So that's a good news. That is the good news, right? Nvidia closed actually above 97, which is good. That's what I wanted to see. 97 is pretty important because you can see this level here was a massive level of resistance. So Nvidia closing back above 97, in my opinion, and as long as it especially holds above 90, 96, 97, I actually view as promising, potential, definitely potential, right? Which is good. On top of that, you can argue the fact that Nvidia printed a bullish piercing candle, which if you don't know what that is, bullish piercing candle pattern. It's one of the better patterns actually, in my opinion. This and like an engulfing candlestick pattern are one of the more reliable candle patterns in my opinion. So this is pretty good, right? So you can kind of see like this, right? Bullish piercing pattern, very large red candle, and the next day you open below, but then you end up closing at or above the midline of the previous candle, right? Which is essentially more or less what we did. Nice large red candle, nice large green candle that opened obviously well below yesterday's, or I guess Friday's, but it closed above the halfway point roughly, which is good, right? I like to see that. So that's a bullish piercing candle, which is a good sign. This is one of the stronger reversal signals. Now it's not perfect, nothing is guaranteed, but even just a green day tomorrow could be a good sign. So those are the things I'm looking at for Nvidia. That's good, right? I like the fact that it had the bullish piercing. I like the fact that it's still inside this channel. I like the fact that it came into this very large demand spot on the weekly time frame or daily time frame, and it actually held it roughly, which is good, right? Nice little large demand spot. If things really hit the fan, which I don't think they will personally, but I mean, in this market, you never know. I do think that there is a short-term worst-case scenario of about closer to $78 per share, which will be this little demand spot right here. If the market truly crashes, like we already kind of crashed actually, but if the market really crashes, if things like really go bad, and I mean like historically bad, like really like atrociously bad, like the market completely goes into like a straight up severe depression almost. Very harsh aggression of a sell-off, like nothing, like much more than what we're even seeing right now. Literally the absolute worst case scenario I see for Nvidia is all the way down here, closer to like 45 roughly, right? Again, this is if yeah, things just really don't go well. Like absolute worst case scenario, in my opinion, is about 45. I'm not saying we're gonna go there. That's like a 50% haircut from here. It's pretty crazy. But again, this market would have to absolutely and utterly crash, like to the point where SPY itself is going down back to like 300s minimum, right? It would be a substantial crash, maybe even like low 400s, but no, probably closer to like even like 300s. Like this would be a straight up crash, like an absolute cataclysmic crash for Nvidia to go down there. I'm not saying it's going to happen, just saying that's like the absolute worst case scenario. However, the state that we're sitting in right now, is okay. It's okay. There's potential. Now, obviously, the weekly is still concerning, mainly because obviously, we're still below this large rising channel, right? The emails are still getting ready to cross bearish, etc. So, Nvidia has work to do. It definitely has work to do. But if there's a spot for Nvidia to finally show some life and finally stop this very aggressive bleeding. It's trying to, like, especially if we can form a bullish piercing candle on the weekly. So essentially, if the weekly can close, honestly, above 100 roughly, that would be even better. But you know, there's work to do, and there's a long week ahead of us, that's for sure. So the way I'll be looking at it right now is mainly on the daily time frame for now, at least, because I like the fact that the daily is setting up that bullish piercing. I like the fact that it's, you know, in this demand spot. I like the fact that it's sweeped these lows over here, right? This little low right here that we set up, right here, like this, right? This low right here, I'm sure a lot of people have stop losses below this low. It's sweeped it below that. That's nice. I like to see that, and close well above that. That's a good sign. And close above these levels back here, which is again about 96 to 7 roughly. So there are positive developments today. Now, again, in a market like this, you never know for sure. All it takes is one good or bad tweet from Trump, and as we saw in the morning, the market was probably the most volatile I think I've ever seen the market ever. In the morning, right? The market, for instance, on Nvidia, you can see here, if I zoom out like this, right? From the lows of the day to the highs of the day, all happened, by the way, in about half an hour. Nvidia skyrocketed almost 18%. And then it dropped from there about 10%. All within the first hour of the day, it rocketed 18 and then dropped 10. You don't see that very often. I think to say, you know, it's safe to say that that's not something you see very often. So let's see how this ultimately plays out, right? You know, in a market like this, right, it's pretty wild stuff. But that's kind of my current analysis, if you will, on Nvidia stock in terms of what I personally see coming next on the stock. Now, obviously, I still have issues with the weekly. I still think the weekly is kind of hideous, but there's a large demand pocket for Nvidia, you know, to finally make something happen and to show at least try to show some life. This is it. And ideally, it'll happen before both of these EMAs cross below the 50. Because if both of them cross below the 50, now obviously there's false alarms. It doesn't mean it has to be all over. You know, it does make it a little more concerning. So essentially, I really want Nvidia, and essentially I want the market to squeeze from here at some point or another. I don't think it'll happen tomorrow necessarily, but I think the retaliatory tariffs are supposed to go into place Wednesday or Thursday. I forgot. But we also have PPI and CPI, I think Thursday and Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So we're still in for quite a lot here. But, you know, yeah, it's a tough market. It's a tough market. But that's kind of the way I'm looking at it right now. That you can still make an argument, the fact that we're still just retesting this trend line that we broke out from over here. Now we're just coming back to retest that. You know, there are bullish arguments to be made for Nvidia. Absolutely. But it does kind of hinge on ideally pretty much holding this 90 to 86 level. If we lose that, then, you know, expect this level down here to get tested, which is closer to about 76 to 70, you know, closer to 80, 76 to $80 per share, which is this here. And if that's lost, if Nvidia loses that, yeah, that would be pretty bearish. I'm not gonna lie. That would be very, very bearish, and the market will most likely tumble substantially. We're not there yet, though. I'm not saying we're going to be there, but that is just something to consider as potential, especially in a market like this. It is, you know, very aggressive, very, very, very volatile market with the VIX sitting still well into almost the 50s. So yeah, we'll see how this plays out ultimately moving forward. But that's kind of my current analysis on Nvidia. So stay on your toes. You know, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but don't go into margin. Don't go into those stupid things. Only people that are truly panicking are people, A, that are holding stocks that are dog shit, and B, that are essentially over leveraged ultimately, especially on margin, right? As long as you're not in that camp, technically speaking, you have infinite time, technically speaking. But yeah, anyways, that's all I got for you right now. So let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.